Yo, family, yo, truth seekers. I'm about to talk about something I really don't want to talk about. I really don't want to talk about this, but I have no other choice but to address it. So, you know what I'm going to talk about? Eve. Adam and Eve. You know what the word on the street is about Eve? They say Eve, right, in the Garden of Eden, had sex with Satan. Now, I don't even want to talk about this because it's not even worth talking about. You can't even make that make sense in the beginning of the Bible, the middle of the Bible, or the end of the Bible that Eve ever had sex with Satan. Let's talk about it. Follow me to the book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 16. This is Yahuah speaking to Adam and Eve. And he said, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat. I'm going to say it again. Thou mayest freely eat. But of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat. Thou shalt not eat of it. Where did it say sex? It says eat, do not eat, and if you eat of it, you die. Nowhere is sex. So Satan did not seduce Eve. He deceived her by making her go against that commandment. Do not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So when Yah confronted Adam, this is what Yah said to Adam, Genesis 3:17. Because you have listened to the voice of your wife, and you ate of the tree. What did Adam do? He listened to Eve. Eve gave him whatever it was of the knowledge from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and Adam ate of it. They didn't have an orgy. They didn't have a threesome. They ate, which is considered disobedience, not fornication. So if you look at the judgments that was pronounced in the book of Genesis, none of it had anything to do with sexual immorality. It had everything to do with childbirth, pain, thorns, sweat, and death. He never addressed it, anything they did when it came to sex. So how can we ever imagine that Eve had sex with Satan? We can't. How was Adam created? From the dust. How was Eve created? From the rib from Adam. And when Adam woke up and seen that his rib became a woman, he said, you are flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone. I'm going to call you woman. That was Adam's first wife and only wife. Adam didn't have two wives. He only had Eve. Why is that important? Because people talk about Lilith, Lilth, Lilith. This woman supposed to be Adam's first wife. Lilith is not in the Bible. She's not nowhere in the Bible. She's not in the mouth of the prophets. She's not on the mouth of Yahushua. She was put there by Babylonian myth, Jewish folklore that came 1,000 years after the book of Genesis was written. This is an occult doctrine. Lilith is nowhere in creation when it comes to the Garden of Eden. Now, let me help you understand this by using your own common sense. You ready? So if Eve would have had sex with the serpent, why does the Bible only mention her having Adam as her husband? If Eve would have had sex with the serpent, why does Yahuah never mention Satan fathering a child with Eve. If Eve ever had sex with Satan, why is Cain listed in Genesis chapter 4 verses 1 as Adam's son? If Eve would have had sex with Satan, why is the judgment about eating and not sex? If Eve would have had sex with Satan, why does every Hebrew scholar, every manuscript, all points to eating and not sex? This is what I mean by people with these crazy, crazy imaginations. So let me help you understand something. Here's Revelation, if you got eyes to see and ears to hear. The first sin happened where? In heaven. Satan was prideful. He went up against the Father. Pride, rebellion, disobedience. This took place first in heaven. Satan got cast down to the earth. Satan was already disobedient from the beginning. Disobedience, right? The Bible says, if you sin, then you are a servant of sin. Who sinned first? Where did sin come from? Satan. You see that here? Adam and Eve, when they were born good. They didn't know evil. They were naked. They didn't even know it. How did they become bad? Satan. So the first sin is disobedience. It's not fornication. So stop. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they are mighty through Yah, pulling down every imagination, every stronghold that exalt itself against the power and the knowledge of Yahusha. This, my friend, is an imagination. This, my friend, to some is a stronghold. You got to cast this down and don't give ear to this occult doctrine. So, with all you're getting, get understanding. And the last thing you need is to hang around people with imaginations like that. Until next time, my friend, seek truth.